Betsy Byars is a great American author of children's books. Her childhood was spent during the Great Depression. She was born August 7, 1928, in Charlotte, North Carolina. Her father, George Guy, and her mother, Nan Cromer. Betsy Byars grew up in a normal, loving family. Her father was an engineer and worked as a bookkeeper in a cotton mill. He was stern and hardworking and had a strong sense of humor. Her mother was a lively woman who loved acting and music, and she was a stay-at-home mom. As a child, she lived part of the time in the country and part of the time in the city, so she had a variety of experiences. She has vivid memories of her school years and of her teachers. Many of them show up in her fiction. Betsy Byars attended Furman University in Greenville, South Carolina from 1946 to 1948. And then she transferred to Queens College in Charlotte, where she graduated with a bachelor's in English. Betsy Byars then met the person she would share the rest of her life with. Edward Ford Byars was a graduate student in engineering from Clemson University. They married June 24, 1950. And later they had 3 daughters and a son, Laura, Betsy Ann, Guy, and Nan. Since her husband decided to further continue his studies in the University of Illinois, Betsy Byars began to write for magazines. Some of her work was in the Saturday Evening Post, Every Woman's Magazine, and TV Guide. Her first book was published in 1962, after it had been rejected 9 times. Clementine was her first novel. Although the reviews were not positive, she was not discouraged. Betsy continued to write and soon began receiving critical praise. The Summer of the Swans is a novel for young adult readers. Betsy Byars wrote this book while she lived in West Virginia, and she volunteered tutoring kids with learning problems. The 2 kids she tutored helped inspire Betsy Byars in writing this novel. This book won the Newbery Award in 1971. This story is about a 14-year-old girl named Sarah who is going through a difficult time in her life. Wanda is her older sister, and Charlie is her younger brother who is mentally handicapped due to a high fever he got at the age of 3. Sarah is jealous of her sister Wanda's beauty. Sarah loves her brother so much, but just when Sarah thought everything was going well in her life, her brother disappears while watching the swans in the lake near their home. Sarah then knew she needed to help find her brother, which became the longest day of her life. And thankfully, at the end of the novel, they do find her little brother. The novel The TV Kid was published in 1976. This fiction story is about a boy named Lenny who is addicted to television. Even reruns are more exciting than real life, and Lenny likes to pretend he's the one experiencing the drama. But his daydreams lead him into a real situation that could cost him his life, and suddenly he's in trouble, more terrifying and dangerous than anything he's ever seen on TV. He is bitten by a rattlesnake, and this is when Lenny finds out that no imaginary friend is ever as good as a real person. Betsy Byars was inspired to write this story after a close friend was actually bitten by a rattlesnake. The book covers of many of Betsy Byars' books have been changed over the years. The Pinballs is a young adult novel that Betsy Byars published in 1976. This is my favorite book by Betsy Byars because of the message it portrays to the children that read it. I believe that it's amazing how these 3 kids go through hardships in life, but then realize that they are not pinballs after all. This novel is about 3 kids. Carly is a girl who couldn't live at home because she didn't get along with her stepfather. Harvey, a boy who has 2 broken legs because his father ran over him. And Thomas J., the young boy who was abandoned when he was 2 years old. They arrived at the Masons' foster home together one summer. The Masons are a couple who care for many other foster children in the past. The main theme in this book is that we can all have an effect on our own lives. These 3 kids wish they could settle where they want, but unfortunately they are called pinballs and don't get to settle anywhere. This novel won the Young Reader Award in 1980 and the Child Study Association Award in 1977. The Night Swimmers is a story about a young girl named Rita who has to take care of her 2 brothers, Johnny and Roy. Their mother passed away and their father works nights as a singer. Roy, which is a younger brother, hates to be left out, and each day he looks forward to joining his older brother and sister at a nightly visit to a neighbor's yard for a secret swimming. Throughout the story, his older brother starts spending a lot of time with a new friend, and his sister is too busy taking charge of everything. Roy has never been to the pool alone, but wants to prove to everyone that he can take care of himself, so he takes the risk. Betsy Byars was inspired to write this story after a friend had a conversation with her about kids coming into her pool at night and worrying that something could happen to them. Betsy Byars received a National Book Award for The Night Swimmers. In the book, The Moon and I, we get a glimpse of Betsy's childhood and current life. But the book is so much more than an autobiography. While writing this book, Betsy Byars said, "If I'd known I was going to write my own story, I would have tried to have a much more exciting life." In the book, she tells us about her adventures with a black snake named Moon, and about her life and her writing. Betsy Byars' characters in her books are always someone she knows, and in all her books she includes herself, and she's not always the main character. Today, Betsy Byars is the author of over 50 children's books, and her work has been translated into 19 languages. Betsy Byars got her pilot license December 19, 1984. Both her and her husband are licensed aircraft pilots, and they live on an airstrip in Seneca, South Carolina. Betsy Byars says, "My hobbies are rather quiet. I like to read and do needlework, and I love animals. But my husband has some very interesting hobbies, and through him I've learned to fly, and I earned my pilot's license. Together, we fly all over the United States." Her 2 daughters, Betsy DeFay and Lori Myers, are also children's authors, and the 3 of them have written books together. One book I personally had the pleasure to read was My Dog, My Hero. Betsy Byars has a website where she likes to write notes to her fans, and the most recent one reads, "Today I wanted to share with you something 1,000 times better than any book that's ever been written. These are my 2 great-grandbabies. Christian is 5 months old. Eloise is 2 months old. They are both little, but already show signs of becoming terrific individuals. I got to hold them over the holidays, and there couldn't be a better